Grand Rising everyone, this is Eldad Amara with my channel Eyes Wide Shut. I've got an article here for you, and this mainly affects UK drivers. I'm out here trying to help people, but for some reason with YouTube do not show my videos to a much wider audience. My videos seem to be limited, and I'm out here trying to help people. Now YouTube, what is the problem with what I'm putting out? And I got this to say, people, if you like this video and other videos I've done, please hit the like button because it's very, very important. Hit that like button and share my videos also. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. All of this will help my videos get out to a much wider audience. I'm out here trying to help people. There's an article I've found, and it's talking about, let me just read the title. Drivers who conveniently park on pavements warn of upcoming ban, which could see them face hefty fines. Story by Hema Vizavadia. Let me read on. Drivers have been warned about the risks of parking on pavements as more local authorities crack down to fine motorists. Parking on a pavement could see drivers fined a minimum of £100 fine, and depending on location could see their vehicles towed away. While parking on the curb has always resulted in fines in London, drivers are now facing harsher punishments across the country as councils are calling on the government to ban pavement parking altogether. Do you hear me? They're trying to ban parking pavement altogether. So those people who start parking on pavements will get fines. Man, haven't we got so many restrictions in terms of motoring at the moment? This AI camera thing that's come out in the UK recently, they're trying it out in 10 different cities. But you know what? In some ways I can understand why local authorities want to ban people parking on pavements, because some people are just reckless, man. They park on double yellow lines, they park on the zebra crossings, they double park outside of schools and places like that. So these people are making it worse for other people. But on the other side, for those people who don't know the UK, our roads aren't very wide. Our roads are quite narrow. The roads were built for horse and carriage, not really for motor cars, yeah, and heavy goods vehicles. Our roads are quite narrow, so sometimes it can be helped for people to go and park up on the pavement. Some have no other choice. Sometimes people also block pedestrians, so women who've got a push pram, or somebody who may be driving a disability scooter, are sometimes restricted by the way some people park their cars. So yes, I can understand the point of parking pavement fines. Let me read on. Local authorities are currently waiting for the results of a government consultation which would allow them to introduce payment restrictions, hand out fines to offenders. Wales is also looking into similar restrictions. Local Government Association, which represents councils in England and Wales, detailed how the ban on pavement parking would help save lives. That's two key words that they always use anytime they want to bring out restrictions. They use save lives and make streets safer. I read on. It is hoped that the change in the law will make streets safer for everyone, particularly those with mobility issues who have been calling for the ban for some time through petitions and various initiatives. Some people, man, they don't think about other people. They just think selfishly about themselves and the way they park their cars. Alright, so I can understand why the council would want to bring in banning people from parking on pavements. Greg Wilson found the CEO of QuoteZone.co.uk said Drivers in England and Wales must be aware of possible changes to parking laws, which could give council the power to fine them and even seize their vehicles. The rule has been in place in London for years, but now in Scotland has also enforced a ban. It is more likely that the government consultation in the rest of England and Wales will follow suit. See also, the other thing is, a lot of these councils and government authorities want to try and get cars off the road. They're trying to encourage more people to cycle, more people to use the buses, more people to use the e-scooters. This is all parts of WEF, that's the World Economic Forum scheme about sustainability. Try to get the cars off the road. This is also part of that agenda, or part of this agenda. The ban would make parking on a path being double parked at a crossing point, or parked on a verge between roads and pavements illegal. The crackdown on pavement parking could see drivers slapped with a fine of £130, and their vehicles could even be towed away in worst case scenarios. Wilson added, in Scotland it is already illegal to park on pavements under the Transport Scotland Act 2019, with England now looking to put in a similar measure. You hear me? They started the scheme first up in Scotland, and now it's going to be spread across England. No more parking up on pavements. How do you feel about that, people? How do you feel about that? Some people have no choice but to park on a pavement because the roads are too narrow. So, if people have to park in the road, it would narrow the road even more. So how would emergency services like the ambulances and police cars be able to get through? They want to get these cars off the road. This is a surreptitious scheme that they're creating. Surreptitious. Get those cars off the road, yes, that are obstructing pedestrians, yeah, and disabled people. But there's a bigger picture behind this, and that's what I'm saying. Parking on pavements has been outlawed in London since 1974. If enforced across the rest of England and Wales, the ban would give councils the same power to crack down on drivers parking in pedestrian spaces. Wilson added, up until now, the highway code rules around pavement parking have been a little vague. It states drivers should not park partially or wholly on the pavement unless signs permit it. However, the rule stating drivers must not leave their vehicles in a dangerous position means if drivers are seen to be putting other road users at risk, they could be susceptible to a fixed penalty notice. Parking on the pavements may seem convenient, but it can obstruct the road, which is dangerous for elderly, vulnerable, and could lead to accidents and fatalities. With changes to the law likely imminent, drivers could err on the side of caution and avoid parking on pavements at all costs to help increase safety for all road users and avoid potential fines. And here they have an elderly person. Let me get this in line with the camera. Okay? They have an elderly person driving here. Sometimes people park in things like the disabled spaces as well. In disabled spaces. They're not thinking about other people, they're thinking about themselves. Now, some people out there, they're very selfish. very selfish. They're just going to park anywhere and they're not thinking about other people. They don't care. Sometimes you see it also with some mothers parking outside schools. They're parking on double yellow lines, parking on zebra crossings, parking on the corner, and a car sometimes with the back end stuck out. Sometimes they're double parked as well. One car parked next to another car in the main road. So I can kind of understand in some ways why they're bringing out these bans on people parking up on pavements, but I don't know that's going to be actually enforced, because some roads are so narrow you have no choice but to park upon the pavement. Let me read on. Last year, Baroness Veer of Norbiton, the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for the Department for Transport, acknowledged that pavement parking can cause real problems for pedestrians, but particularly for wheelchair users with visual impairment and those with prams or buggies. As I said earlier, some people just don't think, man. Some people don't think. And also, some people who park outside of schools, they don't think. It could cause accidents the way they park. Yeah? So you need to be a little bit more aware, not so selfish. Okay? You got old people and they can't get around the cars and they have to go out into the road, and that can cause an accident. Said we are also told that the current legislative framework may not be as clear or effective as could be. These are important concerns and I take them seriously. Look here at someone's parts. Look at the parts on the curb, on an angle. Right next to a fence. And people can't get round. Think somebody who's on a mobility scooter or a mother pushing a pram, they won't be able to get round that car. Some people don't think, and then that's going to lead to an accident. I come back and I say again, I don't know how this act is going to be able to be enforced on all roads in England and Wales, also Scotland and Ireland. Because some roads, it's really hard not to park up on the pavement if the roads are very narrow. And I forgot to say, I still think that there's a bigger picture here, and that is that the governments want to get cars off the road. They're fining people, all these 20 miles an hour signs for things like speeding. And yes, there are people who are reckless and they're just parking their cars anywhere and they're not thinking about others. And they're obstructing the road. But there's a bigger picture. And this is to do with the West scheme and getting cars off the road. Anyway, this is Eldad Amara. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe and share. Thank you.